Hello, and welcome to Upfront. My name is Dean Thullner-Veljacic, and we are filming on the unceded Nanaimo traditional territory. Thanks for joining me. I'm so excited to introduce my next guest. This person is a business leader in the community. They're a charitable fundraiser activist, and they're also a musician, songwriter, and entertainer. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Jona Kristinsson. Hello.
Hi, Dean. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your awesome show.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm thrilled to have you here, and it's such a privilege to have you here. I like to consider you as one of my favorite people and one of my best friends, so thanks so much.
My pleasure is all mine.
So listen, let's break this down. First category, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. You've been recognized many times. It's called CurVa-Voom.
Yes.
Where is CurVa-Voom?
1925 Bowen Road in the Bowen Center, unit number 14.
Now, you've recently relocated. You were in a different location in the same mall?
I was up by Subway, which is unit 200, which is on the upper level of the plaza. Now I'm right down by Dollarama.
So I know you were generally, I think, generating your income through music and through entertainment, but you decided to open a clothing store called CurVa-Voom. What prompted you to do this?
In all reality, I would have to say COVID. Before COVID, I was a full-time musician, music teacher, and a vocal coach. And during COVID, I lost 3 years of contracted gigs. And to be fully transparent, fell into a depression. As us musicians, we need our craft to be okay. And, I sulked for a few weeks, and then I just decided that I needed something to get me out of bed in the morning and to get out of the house. So I've always been involved with clothing in some sort of way, whether it's, as a single mom selling my old stage gear to update to the next and whatnot. And so, so I decided to start selling off my clothing and open up a consignment store, as I had no money for an overhead or to order in new clothes, and that's how it all started.
Well, this is a common story with COVID. A lot of entertainers had to reinvent themselves because you still have to put food on the table. And you're a single mom, I believe, yes? Yep. And you have to pay bills. So it is sort of your responsibility to look after yourself and your family. And you did a great job. I would like to point out that you have been nominated for Women in Business nominee, Diversity and Inclusion Business Award nominee, Retail and Small Business, Medium Business nominee, Community Builder of the Year nominee, People's Choice nominee, but you've also won Best Inclusive Business for 3 years consecutively. You're the number 3rd best clothing store overall every year, and the Nanaimo Best and City Votes can't get enough of you. I mean, you've got a team you've got community supporting you 100%. What makes CurVa-Voom, what makes this happen?
The amazing women that belong to the Curva Nation family. We literally have a hashtag. We do live sales and we interact online. I've seen friendships being created through CurVa-Voom. And,
So originally, I know you were downtown on Commercial Drive. You relocated up to Bowen Road. I had the pleasure of helping you get that store open. We're hanging all these garments. It was a super fun couple days. But what I noticed about your store is that it did stand out. You are recognizing diversity. You're recognizing all women of shapes, sizes, and colors. You're recognizing the trans community. Absolutely. Your store is quite unique. Let's talk about what makes CurVa-Voom so special.
Well, first of all, I specialize in large shoes, women's shoes up to a size 13. Enough said. Right. It is such an underserved demographic of you're lucky if you have a size 11 to go into a shoe store and maybe they dust off one pair of shoes and you can actually try it on. But most of the time you are ordering online. And as you know, Dean, when we're talking shoes, you got to kind of you got to have that Cinderella moment of putting
the groove.
Well, not only that, but being in the shoe for a few minutes just to know whether it's going to hurt or not, you know. So that is one of the things that we do is we are fully inclusive on sizing. And, you know, we specialize in obviously the big shoes. We carry all the way from 5 all the way up. And the other thing is I curate special, unique pieces. So you're going to come into CurVa-Voom and you're going to find pieces that you're not going to find anywhere else. And the other thing is my favorite thing I think about the store is that mums, daughters, and grandmas are coming all together and they're all shopping at the same store because I'm fully inclusive on the genres too, you know.
But you're not just inclusive like in that way, you're also inclusive in the LGBTQ2+ community. You know, it's very important for people in that community to be able to walk into an establishment and feel loved, feel welcome, but also have the accessibility to the products that they need. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're going to get to the history of you and Pride and how you are so all-inclusive in everything that you do, but I just think that that's really important for the audience to know that. And if you're out there watching this show and you are transgender and you are looking for shoes, accessories, clothing, that this is a great place. You're going to feel the love, and you're also going to find the products.
I am guilty of asking a customer to leave after some funny looks when somebody was in there trying on some women's clothes, and so I do not put up with that. Everybody is welcome at my store. Don't matter your shape, size, or how you live.
Great. I wanted to touch on a conversation that you and I had privately about the fashion industry in general.
Yes.
Right? You know, it's a tough industry. We've got fast fashion, which is really terrible for the environment. We're all becoming aware of that. Sustainable products, sustainable fabrics, sustainable resources for fabrics. But also that sort of niche for people to be able to do secondhand and be able to either bring clothes in to sell, for you to sell or to purchase. Can you tell me about that, how you feel about that?
Okay, so the word fashion and the word trend are two words that I have a real problem with. And the longer that I own CurVa-Voom, the bigger my problem becomes with it, because I'm seeing that trend is a word that some textile giants come up with so that they can sell more textile, because they have to change the trend so that people go and buy more clothes to poison the world some more, because now the clothing industry is the second biggest polluter in the world. And I'm sure you've seen some images from third world countries where they are just dropping mountains of clothes everywhere. And also, the sizing issue, for example, a lot of women that are not ready to admit to themselves or feel good about that they maybe are a plus size. In my books, extra large and up is plus size. And what they don't so basically they go to the mall and go to stores that only carry up to an XL and are not very lucky at finding things because maybe they are a 1X or a 2X, say, but in their mind they're an extra large because plus size is something that's bad and they don't want to be there. However, the average woman nowadays is a size 16, between a 14 and an 18, really, in the world. And so, and that in my books is plus size. So, you know, I always say to my clients, if you line up 10 extra larges side by side, they're going to range in sizing, in actual sizing, from maybe a small to a medium and all the way up to a 3, 4X. So whose extra large are we going by, and why are we putting so much, you know, why are we not just wearing what really fits us and not worrying about what the piece of clothing says as in sizing? Because it all depends on, is there stretch in the fabric? Where is it coming from? You know, us Nordic folk tend to be larger and others tend to be smaller. And so one extra large to another huge size difference.
Well, this is fantastic. So CurVa-Voom, number 14, 1925 Bowen Road,
Yes.
all inclusive, all sizes, secondhand, also new, lots of accessories, shoes, beautiful things to look at. It's the
Absolutely.
holiday season. Please go visit the store. It's great. Okay, so I want to talk about you as a musician, songwriter, and entertainer, right?
Let's do it.
You are from Iceland.
Yes.
Yes. So when you were little Icelandic Jona, what made you want to be a star? What made you want to sing?
That's such a tough question, and I get it often. I don't ever think that I knew that I wanted to sing. It was kind of more something that I gravitated towards, as it was sometimes my only friend. I was good at singing. I had a good voice. I was able to pick up just about any instrument and become friends with it, meaning that I wasn't necessarily good at it, but I could make some sounds out of them, And I was very curious about other instruments, and that was something that really made me feel good, was being able to create something, and so I always gravitated to singing, and I recall pinning my mother down and sitting on her when I was a little girl, and ordering her to sing Christmas carols so that I could try to figure out some harmonies to the Christmas carols. And this is when I was very, very young. And it has always stuck with me. And I remember the day when I said to my mother, no, I don't want to go to school. I want to be a musician. And my mother said, well, then you better go to school and become a real musician. So I went to my first day of music school. And I think because of my ADHD, I'm looking at all the notes on the paper, dancing around like ants. And I'm looking at all the other kids going like, oh yeah, this is cool, this is great, this is awesome. And I'm going like, oh my God. So I put up my hand and I'm like, I gotta go to the washroom. And actually, Dean, I'm still in the washroom because I never went back.
Oh, well, listen, you know what? If you live on Vancouver Island, you'd have to be living under a rock not to know about you and your music career at every turn. You have started an indie entertainment, right? You're a songwriter and collaborator.
Yep.
You're a band member and creator of the Femme Fatales.
Yes.
You're a local performer at the Queens and other venues.
Absolutely.
Right? You also created in the past Nanaimo Idol, which was to help youth, right? And you were also part of Wonder Bread.
Yep.
So who has time to run a successful nominated clothing store and to be able to accomplish all this music and to be able to also give back to the community? I want to talk about West Coast Vocal Academy.
Okay.
All right, what is West Coast Vocal Academy?
Well, when I was young, I got hired into a band after they found me at this karaoke joint that I had lied about my age to get a job at, and so I was running a karaoke. And we started gigging, and one day I lost my voice. I suffered from a condition called nodes, vocal nodes. Yeah. And we're going back many, many years, and my options were, okay, you can leave it and possibly maybe sing again, or you can have an operation and it will be a 50-50 chance whether you could sing or not. And me being scared of hospitals and needles and those kind of things, that was not an option. So I struggled mentally, kind of like a bird with a broken wing for a while, until my Viking stubbornness kicked in, and I decided to research every single vocal system that I could, because I couldn't afford lessons. And so I researched, took all the good things that were working for me, and put together a vocal system. And now at 52 years old, I'm a better singer than I have ever been in my life. I have more range, more stamina, and I still have my vocal injury. I actually named my nodes Black and Sabbath. So now I help people that have suffered vocal injuries. I teach at all levels of singing. And I have my own vocal system, so yeah.
Good for you. Well, if you go on to Facebook, to West Coast Vocal Academy, there is no shortage of accolades of how you have excelled people's music's career. Now, you've also I believe, through the Femme Fatales, there's an opportunity to mentor youth.
Yes, so I did run a youth music program in the community for 9 years through Nanaimo Youth Services, and due to cutbacks from, for all youth programs in Nanaimo, that program ended, and it was sad, but I am still in contact with most of the kids that, well, they're not so much kids anymore. I have to remember that time flies. Nowadays, I'm getting invited to weddings, and I see some of them on the street still. I don't actively work with a program at this point, but I get SOS calls frequently where somebody knows what I do and that I have worked with at-risk youth, and I try to help us out as much as possible. And I have also we have put on mental health awareness festivals in the community with my good friend Stephen Cochran and Surreal, Matt Dene. And that is something that we're going to be starting back up next year, called Youthapalooza.
Sign me up. I'd love to help.
Right? And it's such a great thing because the way that we run it is there are breakout rooms and workshops, there is music, and there is talent competition. And my favorite thing about it is when people enter the festival, there is all these booths and stuff about, help for mental health. They get this bag, and they have a bingo card where they have to visit every booth to get a stamp. And so you can go to whatever booth without feeling any sort of way and get the information or the help that you need. So that's one of my favorite things about the festivals, actually.
Yeah, we're going to get to your charitable outreach in a second here, but I want to continue on with your music career. So you are currently working on, I believe, called Blue Eyes and Us, which the date for that, it'll be at the Port Theatre, but it'll be to be announced.
Yes.
And a Jona Band first single is an homage to Seals and Croft, When I Meet Them, which is available on Spotify, yeah?
It is on all major streaming services.
All major streaming. Okay, great. I do want to take a second here. Like, if you are looking for Jona, you can go to Jona K Music on Facebook or Jona.Kristinsson Facebook. You can also go to West Coast Vocal Academy. There's no shortage of ways to contact you.
Indie Entertainment,
Indie Entertainment as well, yes. And
CurVa-Voom.
And CurVa-Voom, yeah, for sure. You are a star. And then we also, the other thing that's important for people to know is that you are a musician, and it is part of what you do for work, right? And so you are available for corporate fundraising.
I am available. Actually, I am reinstating indie now that the store is starting to. I'm able to get away from the store a little bit more, and the services that we provide is we provide bands. I have a pool of 40 musicians that I employ off and on. So we work with all budgets. We do corporate gigs and, bar gigs. We do them all. We also offer DJ services, karaoke services, music trivia services, MC services. So, we're basically, if you have a party and you want entertainment, we're the people to talk to.
But you also have a huge heart. When I first moved to Nanaimo in 2017, and I knew no one, I said, I want to get involved. How can I get involved with Pride? And people said, you've got to contact Jona Kristinsson. I'm like, who's Jona Kristinsson? And then I said, I'd like to do a mental health fundraiser. Talk to Jona Kristinsson. I wouldn't mind doing a project with drag or with some sort of idol sort of idea. Talk to Jona Kristinsson. At every turn, every single person mentioned your name and what a courageous but also heart-giving individual you were to support the community. And that hasn't stopped. You will be performing at Michael Patrick's Christmas concert, I believe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Christmas benefit, yes.
Yeah, so that's good. What is it about you that drives that? Like, when from the very beginning, you were part of Pride and getting that organized to support the LGBTQ community. You've been very instrumental and on striking events for at-risk youth. What is it about you? Why do you feel that need to support our community?
I feel the need, well, I belong to the community for one, but for me, music has saved my life. And I mean that in every possible way that I can. Without music for me, I would not be sitting here in this chair telling you that. And that is something that I see the youth struggling. I see them struggling, and they need that friend that I was talking about earlier, that friend that doesn't judge, the friend that's always there by the press of a play or whatever, right? And not only that, but it's like being able to sing or express yourself on an instrument, it releases endorphins. It makes you feel good, you know? And so I have always been wanting to give back and to show people, help people the way, be the person that I wish that I would have met when I was struggling with the loss of my voice and not knowing what was going to happen. And, you know, it was terrible. It was such a scary and frightening experience. And so that is basically why I always want to help people get closer, and also to show them that you don't have to go to school to become a full musician. That was one of the things about tuning is if you want it bad enough, you can make it happen. You don't have to go and get a musical education nowadays. You don't.
I think back to, like I said, when I first moved here, you were very instrumental in helping the LGBT community have a pride. You were one of the first people that joined forces with some of the forefathers of our community. How did that come to fruition?
It's a funny story. So at my youth program Tune-In, we used to have every Sunday half an hour time that we would call the corner. In most children's life, the corner is a bad experience because they get put there when they're bad. But in our world, it was a great thing because that's where we sat down on a couch and around a couch, and we would open up for anybody to share if they had gone to a jam or if they had a gig or if they went busking or even if they had bad experiences that they wanted help with or any, like sounding boards basically. And there was a common factor, every year I used to go, so this, because they would ask me, what did you do this week? And it would be like, oh yeah, this week I played at Pride again in Victoria. And then the next year, played at Pride in Victoria. And then the questions were, well, why doesn't Nanaimo have Pride? Why don't we have Pride? Why don't we have Pride? Well, you know what? I started thinking, I said, why don't we have a Pride? And the first person that I thought to call was Rick Myers. And it's funny, I called him and he said, welcome aboard, sister. We've just started organizing that. So that's how that came about, yeah.
Well, listen, I wanted to mention some of the events if you're watching, if you'd like to see Jona and the Femme Fatales perform. On December 31st, you're playing New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Great. You can get your tickets at
the Queen's Hotel. And I think on Show Pass.
Okay.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, and then January 19th, which is a Sunday, I believe, you are doing a blues.
On January 19th, I'll be hosting the Sunday Blues Jam, which has been going for a few years, every Sunday at the Queen's. And it is one of the most magical music events in Nanaimo. Open jam, so we are the host band, so we'll do a set right at 3:00, and then if there's enough time, which there hasn't been lately because there's so many people that come out to jam, then we will do a little closing set. But strongly suggest, if you haven't experienced the Sunday night blues jam at the Queen's, I would definitely come and see that.
Great.
Yeah.
I do want to do a plug for Michael Patrick's annual Christmas benefit, which is happening on December 13th. Yep. You're performing.
Yes.
This is Friday. It's at the Queen's. You can get tickets $20 online, or you can get your tickets through showpass.com, right?
Yep.
And I do want to make a note that the Nanaimo Association for Community Living is the benefactor of this concert.
Yes.
They are committed to supporting people with diverse abilities. Their goal is to provide dignity and respect to each person and to empower the people they serve to make them have their own informed choices and build self-determination. So big shout out for Michael Patrick doing this concert and to support the Nanaimo Association for Community Living.
Michael Patrick is a saint
Is
in this
he?
community.
Yeah. Well,
He's been
I'll
doing
have to have him
these-
on the show.
You should. He has been doing these Christmas benefits for years, and it's interesting. Us musicians, we call that our Christmas staff party because they usually happen in the middle of the week, and we never get to hang out and visit. We're always busy doing gigs in different establishments and such. So it's just such a great time, and I'm so honored to be a part of it.
So I personally can speak on your community spirit. I've seen you in action with Pride because I volunteered for Pride myself. I also was the person who organized the Shine community event for at-risk youth. You were one of the first performers to put up your hand. But I want to say thank you on a personal note. I have witnessed your authenticity and your ethics, and quite often you stand well above the rest. I went through a very difficult time last year. It was harassment, it was bullying, it was quite difficult. And not only did you stand up for me, but you stand up for the artistic community and for the rights of what was right. So on behalf of the artistic community, on behalf of the charitable community, on behalf of the business community, Jona Kristinsson, you are a star. You are a valued member of our community, and I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, Dean, thank you.
It's true. So Jona will be playing at New Year's Eve as well at the Queen's, so get your tickets to that. It's going to be a great night.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Lastly, before we close here, I want to talk about the Shoebox Project. My last show I had Laura Kelsey on. She's a local singer, writer, but also is into charity, and she is organizing the Shoebox Project. You are also involved. How are you involved with the Shoebox Project?
First of all, Laura is such a beautiful human being, and what an activist and an amazing gift to this community. I have been a drop-off location for the Shoebox Project. I want to say for 3 or 4 years, and I love the concept. I love the idea of somebody that is less fortunate gets a little box. You have no idea what's in there, at least, you have no home or whatever, and you have a box, and there's a gift certificate, there's a little card that has, these beautiful words in there and encouragement and, clean socks and toothbrushes and stuff like that. It's just the most beautiful
And it goes a
thing.
long way.
It goes a long way.
All right, well, Jona, I thank you so much for coming on today. I also wanted to do a special shout out to the Rogers volunteer team that is working here today that you can't see. This show up front would not happen without their dedication and their volunteerism, and this project only comes together because of you. I'd also like to say to everybody, thank you, and wish everybody a happy, safe holiday season, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you.